Good afternoon, Dave.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm very good. Nice to see you two gorgeous faces.
Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. How are you?
Very good.
Excellent. It's great to see you. And how are things doing this? Oh, fudge!
You got stuff falling.
Oh, in the freezer. No. Are you there?
I am.
Okay, so Barry just did a big note. The way we have it set up here in the studio, basically, I shut my laptop down and everything went playing on our side. So sorry about that. So a very warm welcome to everyone who is joining us. It's great to be here for another Wednesday of Tea and Poetry Live with Dave Steele, the blind poet. I am very honored to be joined by I want to call my colleague here, Mr. B. Fox, who is becoming a regular on Tea and Poetry, which is awesome. And hopefully everyone's staying healthy, everyone's doing well, and hopefully people are getting out, again, with social distancing, enjoying some of the summer, and, making the best of, what's going on. So how are things on your side?
Yeah, okay. It's been a kind of a mixed bag week. We'll kind of get to talking about this tonight. I've had another. You maybe saw a post I put out on Facebook earlier today. I've had another kind of quite a significant dip in my vision over the last kind of week or so, so that kind of had a little stumble back. Was feeling a little bit sorry for myself yesterday, but then picked myself up as we all do. And so I kind of want to talk about a little bit about that tonight. And but other than that, yeah, it was my wife's birthday yesterday, Amy's birthday.
Happy belated birthday, Amy.
Yeah, she's out at her mum's, having some drinks with her sister and her mum tonight for a little while I'm doing this. And then I'm taking her out on Saturday night for our first night out since forever, actually, since
Nice.
forever.
Nice.
Lockdown. So we're kind of looking forward to actually getting dressed up and going out, which would be quite nice.
By the way, I'm looking at the screen here, and I just realized, and this was not color coordinated by any means, but I mean, B, you're wearing black. I'm wearing a white and patterned shirt here with a little red in it, but it's nice, the black and white.
Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, and other than that, obviously, there's a lot of things going on still that we can't talk about.
Yes, that is correct. So
yeah,
we will say this. So first of all, for those of you out there who are joining us today, first, it's great to see a lot of familiar faces out there. For anyone that is new, this is their first time joining us, just want to go over some of the simple housekeeping. Don't worry, we don't bite here. This is an incredible and friendly environment, and I want to just encourage everyone to speak up. And the way we do that here, if this is your first time using Zoom, or even if it's not, just to familiarize yourself, there are a couple ways to get our attention, and we want to I highly encourage everyone to participate. So one, you can click on the raise your hand button. If you click on the raise your hand button, I am going to assume that's what it means, that you would like to join. When I say join, whether it's just with audio or audio with audio and video, I will bring you into the mix. So if you see me constantly looking around a little bit here and there, I am paying attention. I'm just looking out for all the attendees and making sure that we are able to facilitate all of the requests. On top of that, you can always send a message through the chat, or if you're being really shy, I encourage everyone not to be shy. But if you are feeling shy, you can then submit a question through the Q&A button. You can submit through there as well. So those are the three ways of how you can get our attention, and I am continuously monitoring all three avenues there. So you mentioned that, yes, we are, things are well underway here in Baltimore. As far as why Mr. Ben Fox has made the official move out here. We are still keeping things under wraps for the time being. We have set a firm date August 4th, Tuesday, August 4th, by hook or by crook, we are making an announcement. So stay tuned, and August 4th. That's all I can say right now.
I'd just like to say as well, I'd like to kind of hear a little bit from Ben, because he's kind of sat there, and I think this is the longest I've ever seen Ben sat there without actually speaking. But for 1 second, I thought you had like a B-Fox dummy, like a mannequin. You just said there. How are you, Ben? What's going on in the world of B-Fox?
I'm doing real well. Thank you, Dave. I'm doing real well. Yeah, I saw that post earlier from you today.
Yeah.
I saw that post earlier. Yeah.
I think, it's, and we've spoke about this, me and you have spoke about this kind of personally, and I'm sure me and Barry have had the conversation, and we've spoke about it on these calls. One of the things I always try to do is keep it real. And it's one thing, trying to sort of support people through poetry or through just a conversation or being there or being a friend or a blog post or whatever, and not talking about when you stumble. I think, one of the most powerful things is being able to say to someone, I've been there too. And recently, on one of the main kind of RP pages, which I'm sure you're on, Ben, which is one that's called RP, the family group on Facebook, which was one of the first kind of groups I joined before I started the Stand By Me RP awareness page. And I think it's got like over 10,000 members.
That's where I first read your poetry, quite frankly.
Yeah.
For posting
there's been a few posts on there recently from people, one person in particular, who obviously I'm not going to mention a name or anything, but who have been kind of really in a dark place and really, really struggling. And I've commented on posts, and and part of the reason I put that post out today was because, I just want to say to people who are having a bad day, or really struggling, or maybe struggled recently, that we all have these challenges, whether you're affected by low vision or not. We all have days where we are not at our best, and maybe get a bit down on ourselves and feel sorry for ourselves, and people with RP will have these periods where we all kind of take another dip and lose a bit and have to readjust more. And I think it's perfectly natural to be a little bit scared, but at the same time, not let it stop you. And I think that was what I wanted to say today. And I think I kind of said it with the fact that although I've taken a dip, although I've just gone through another little period of readjustment, although I had to take a little step back and pull myself together, very, very quickly, I never once for a second did I consider it stopping me from doing all the things that I want to achieve. And as I said in the post, my children are watching, and they are a huge inspiration, and to me, and a reason I do this.
Dave, thank you for posting through these processes. It's interesting. I'd like to just give a shout out to the families and the support groups out there.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Because it might be an interesting experience to go blind slowly, or however that journey looks. But if your vision changes from day to day, like the caretaker side of people comes out. Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, like I don't know about you, Dave, but sometimes I in the past just kept it a secret, wouldn't say anything to people. People would notice I might trip a little bit more, but It was hard for me to keep track of the vision loss for a while, much less for those that love me. How do you deal with that? And before you were writing about it, because you deal with it publicly now. How did you get to that point? I guess I had a bunch of questions in one there, but how do you deal with that? Telling people about it and yourself.
I think, I've spoke about this before, how like things that I've been through in the past have given me the ability to kind of talk about them. I talk about, spoke about on previous calls where when I was in my early 20s, I had a kind of a lot of dark times where I was, I had no kind of family home, no family base. There was periods of my year where I'd be away working abroad, working as a singer, and then I'd come back to the UK, or there was no work. It'd be like seasonal work, and I'd be homeless, and I'd go from couch to couch, or sometimes, you know, I'd be really, really stuck. And times like that really kind of taught me to open up, and not to feel ashamed about it, and to there's a great strength in being able to talk about your weaknesses, I always say. So when I started to lose my sight, because I'd been through all these things in my past, although it was still a big thing to kind of, you know, cope with and to adjust with, compared to some other stuff, you know, I'd already tackled, it wasn't as bad. So I felt comfortable talking about it pretty much. Well, actually, no, I'm not gonna lie. My first kind of 8 months, I was in a very, very dark place. But when I started writing the poetry, when I wrote that Stand By Me RP song, that was the light bulb moment that I just went, okay, I can feel good about talking about it. It can help me repair, and I can also help other people at the same time. And that was the light switch. But for the first 8 months, you know, I was very recluse. There was a lot going on. You know, we lost our house. We had to feed our kids on food parcels. There's a lot going on. But when that song came to me, and that idea, that concept of being able to use music and poetry to help other people, and then seeing that reaction, that was the thing that just went, okay, that's the answer now. That's what I'm going to do. And I promised right from the start that I was going to bear it all. And like you say, you know, on those support pages, that family group where you first found my poetry, me sharing those times was the thing that allowed me to reach a lot of people, that allowed me to have the biggest impact with people. A lot of those, you know, that first book, you know, I've got it right here. There's a lot of those early days, as I've spoke about before, that, you know, before a lot of the poems in that were written when I was having these bad eye days, and, you know, struggling with different emotions, and the best way I could deal with that was to get it out onto the page and heal that way, and then heal other people. So yeah, you know, I made that promise right from the start. What was your other question? Was that did I cover it for it all?
I covered it. You know, interestingly enough, it's like you have a timeline with the books. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And, you know, I always say, and I think we've had this conversation before again, I always try and, even like, sometimes I'll write a poem about those early days, but from a kind of perspective of now, and I'll put the poem out there, and then I'll get people messaging me saying, "Oh, Dave, you okay?" And I go, "Well, no, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not writing how I'm feeling now. What I'm doing is I'm putting myself back in those shoes of someone in those very early days, or having a bad day, because that's a good way of helping them." And I'll always kind of tip my hat to, you know, even if I become, you know, the most adjusted person in the world, I'll always think back on those days, because it's, you know, that's a way of helping people.
You know, Dave, as a matter of fact, since you opened that door, I had a person that's one of my dear friends. It's actually a person that works, I won't say their job, but a person does a great job in blindness here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And they had read one of your posts, and they called me and said, "What's going on with Dave?" You know, just kind of like, "Oh, they read his poem." And I said, "You know what? Dave and I actually spoke about this very topic." And I'd asked him, I said, "Dave, you know, how, basically, to paraphrase a long, cool talk we had, like, how do you put yourself in those shoes and keep on touching those days?" And he said, "I do that for people that are literally living it now." And I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I told you, "Well, Dave, you know, I kind of got through that, and I honored those." And they're like, "Well, Ben, remember that guy?" Said, "Oh, dude, I've never ever thought about that the same way again." Every time I see a repost, I'm like, Dave's doing it again. He's putting his heart out for people. So
his heart is always out there.
I love you for that, Dave.
You know what? I think it's really important, and I've spoke about this at many events where I've been in the States. I talk to people from our community who have maybe lost the sight, you know, many years ago, and are very well adjusted, and they are sometimes too quick to forget what those early days are like. And even, you know, what I try to say to people is, if you're in a great place and you're, you know, loving blindness and everything else, you know, that's okay, and that's perfectly brilliant. But never forget that there's always other people at the start of the journey, or just, you know, maybe not at the start of the journey and are just going through a rough time with it. And I think if we can all, you know, bear that in mind, it would be a lot more understanding. And well, as I say those words now, I think, you know, that's just not a rule that applies to low vision community at all. That applies to everything in life. If we can all be a little bit more considerate of other people, you know, in general, what a wonderful world it would be. While I've got you actually on that subject, it's funny actually how these things go, as we always talk about it. I want to read you a poem, and it pretty much just says what I'm talking about. And I wrote this one a while ago, but it just kind of appeared at the right time for tonight. And I'd like your thoughts on this and anyone else.
I always find it amazes me of all the 800 plus pieces that you've written, how it just, we're so fortunate that you have almost really a poem for almost, I don't say every subject, but it's amazing, the connection.
Well, I'd like your thoughts on this, Barry, because I know you like to kind of break down the lines and stuff. So I'll read it you now. Sometimes I sit and think about the way things could have been if these last 6 years of going blind were only just a dream. How would my life be different if these challenges never known, and all the lessons I have learned, my heart had never grown? The way I see the world and what's important to me now, today I cling to beauty that these broken eyes allow. We don't know what we've got until the day it's almost gone. We don't know our own strength until we're forced to carry on. I wouldn't trade what I've become for perfect, healthy sight, for days when I could drive and see the star-filled sky at night, when walking down the street would not attract suspicious stares, when simplest of journeys not a second thought or care. Although my family's faces may be soon forever gone, this journey into blindness taught me how to carry on. It's shown me how to cherish all the things for granted took, how I can touch a heart with poetry inside a book. Sometimes I sit and think about the way my life turned out. I'm thankful for these lessons. That's one thing I'll never doubt.
Are you sure you didn't just write that?
No, I didn't.
I know you did it, and it always just amazes me how there's a piece of poetry that you have ready to go that is able to capture the moment that we are in right now. So again, it touches on so many points. I want Ben to comment in just a moment. Kristen, I'm going to bring you in just a moment. I want Ben, if you want to comment on that, and then we will start going to bring people in, and we'll go from there. So anything you want to share on that?
There's a bunch of things that stick out. The number one, Dave, is we had a Facebook interaction recently where you put out there, the thing that sticks out in my mind specifically is I had said, man, Dave, thank you for educating folks on almost blindness. Whatever the original post was, said something about somebody who was curious about that you could see them, but you had a white cane. And the poem you said of walking down the street without suspicious stares. Yep. I don't know. You're talking about the stairs that they're suspect because they pop out of nowhere. Boom. Da-da-da. Are you talking about people saying, what's up with the cane? I can see you looking at me.
Yep.
And there's a reason I'm sitting with the cane. And I'll tell you, I posted like, hey, Dave, I was out and about today. And I just let people assume I was fully blind because it's been a long day. And I had a lot in front of me. Yeah. And I just didn't have time right then. And I kind of apologize for it. And would you talk on that, please? And what are your thoughts on the suspicious stares, almost blindness, the white cane, and the tunnel vision?
Yeah, it's funny. We spoke about that before. Barry, me and Barry have mentioned on calls before that we, like private calls with different people. I've talked about the basically pretending to be blinded you actually are, to kind of fit in that box. Just you don't want to challenge it all. Sometimes we just want to take a break.
So we have Kristen. Kristen, you are in the mix here. How are you?
Hi, Kristen.
Just want to thank Dave for letting me join in and chat with you guys. Writing.
Kristen, I'd like to kind of introduce you to Ben and Barry. Kristen reached out to me today with just an amazing comment on that post that we were just talking about. My dip in vision. And can you? I'd hate to kind of put you on the spot, Kristen. Can you just kind of introduce yourself and explain what you put in that post and give us a little bit about your kind of backstory with your dad?
Yeah. My name's Kristen. I'm 48. I live just south of Washington, D.C. in the U.S. Born and raised here around Fairfax. Never went very.
In our neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we're in Baltimore.
Okay. Yeah, we're out in horse country near Middleburg.
Nice.
So yeah, I've always been a daddy's girl. My dad, 1975, he was in a workplace explosion that took 85% of his. Based on the calculation they do with your age and the percentage of burns, he had a negative 56% chance of survival. And that was 5 days before his 35th birthday and 9 days before I turned 3. So I was protected by my innocence before the.
Kristen, we lost you.
Oh.
Are you there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, we lost Kristen.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get.
Yeah, we'll give it a second. And Christina, I'm going to bring you in next. While we're waiting for Kristen to reconnect there, Susan posted here as far as in the Q&A. She wants to know, have you ever hid that you had RP? And I want both of you to answer that. So let's start with you, Dave.
Yes. Simple answer. Yes. Obviously, you know, I probably had the early onset of RP from my early 20s, and was kind of in denial about it up until I was officially diagnosed 6 years ago, because I only had the real kind of light to darkness places. You know, you're struggling from light to dark, the night blindness, but everything else seemed okay. And that's one of the strange things about RP, and I've spoke about this quite often, is the fact that our brains do this very, very strange thing where when you walk into a room, your brain will subconsciously scan the room, and for what your eyes can't see, your brain fills in the blanks. So sometimes you feel like you can see more than you actually can, and it's not until you are tested under medical conditions with a visual field test and things like that that you then realize how little you can actually see. And what happens with a lot of us, and I'm sure Ben will vouch for me with this, as will many others out there, that we go through a very slow progression with our vision loss until it gets to a stage where we can't deny it any longer. And that's where we have to then start this journey of going through that battle for independence and confidence and everything that we talk about and everything that I write about in the poetry. But there are a lot of people still out there who, you know, who struggle, and there's a lot of people out there who, you know, won't pick up a cane or, you know, won't use a mobility aid and will stumble around. And I was talking about this. I want to get to this quickly. I'll just touch on it now. I was saying about my dip in vision recently. Normally when I'm out in public or out in an unfamiliar place, I will, you know, even when I've got my cane, I will be quite clumsy and stumble into things, do those things that us, you know, people with low vision and RP tend to do: knock over drinks, bump into tables, knock over chairs, walk into walls. But where I was able to tell that my vision has really dipped recently is in my home surroundings, where I'm generally quite comfortable at getting round. I'm doing the frustrating thing, which Ben, I'm sure you're going to recognize this, of walking into door frames, banging myself off banners, off the railings as I'm walking up the stairs, and just knocking my side all the time from not being able to judge, walking into a room, looking round for my wife who's in there sat next, you know, in front of me, and not being able, and, you know, all those kind of frustrating things that get to us and pull us down on those down days. But yeah, in answer to that question, yeah, Ben, what about yourself? That kind of familiar?
So, Dave, I used to love to drive, and my little brother's just driven me on.
He's not so little. He's not so little.
Big little brother. And he was like, man, you used to have the coolest cars back when you could drive years ago. And we were walking down memory lane, counting down which cars I had. And
he wasn't referring to the Matchbox cars.
all convertible cars. The tops had come off. If you guys ever watched this show Seinfeld back in the day, Jerry Seinfeld had a convertible Saab. And that was I was watching the reruns when that show was going on.
By the way, my dad used to have a convertible Saab. Actually,
I went and got the same year and model that he had driving around, just because it happened to be a used car on the lot that I was driving by when I was looking for cars. The doctors had told me to prepare for eventual blindness, because to answer that question about did I pretend not to have RP, I had detached retinas in both of my eyes at 18, and on the left eye was significant. I lost the vision out of it. The right eye we caught in time. So long story short, they said, come back. You need to be checked every 6 months. You have more wrong with your eyes. We're going to get into that later. I avoided. I wanted to keep my driver's license. And I said, obviously, I'll know when I'm blind. I thought it was going to be the significant detached retina type of difference. My comprehension for what RP was, slow progression of vision loss, was very low. And I had zero willingness to understand what it was at 18 years old. I wanted to be a filmmaker and drive convertible cars, pick up my friends, and just drive all over the place and have a great adventure. And so I pretended not to have any type of eye problem for years. I'd go to great lengths to hide it. And I don't have any excuse for myself. And it wasn't until, spoiler, nobody ever got hurt. But it wasn't until I had significant, personal injuries from walking around and falling and stuff like that. But little fender benders from trying to drive slowly on the right-hand side of the road, which over in the States, by the way, is the side you drive on, Dave. just checking in there. But yeah, and I did try to pretend for a long time that there was going to be some way to keep driving specifically. And it wasn't until I had, I was wanting to go on dates specifically, and I'm almost on the story. And I would ask out a woman and say, hey, I'll come pick you up. And to me, that was a point of pride. For whatever reason, I wasn't even trying to be macho. So I'm telling myself, I think it was a milestone in my vision loss where I was like, hey, when I can't go pick a woman up for a date, then whatever I told myself was what else happened. I'm not going to tell you, repeat, because it's nonsense. And I'll tell you what, I've learned more about myself as a human being and as a man, quite frankly, whatever that means in this world, but as a man to myself, my own personal vision of who I am with a white cane versus car keys. And so thanks for asking the question, and I was happy to be able to tell that. Thank you for
Susan
that.
So, Kristen, we're back. We're back with Kristen, and I promise Kristen says next.
Yeah, so, after my dad got burned, I became his little pit bull because I didn't like people staring at him. So I was the tough one who beat the kid up in 3rd grade and cussed out the kids in the car beside us because they were pointing and laughing. Dad says, you can't fight them all. And I put my seatbelt. Yes, I can. Just let me at them. But my dad taught me so much grace and dignity. And I have a feeling that Dave's kids are getting ready to start this journey with him. I didn't know what was happening with my dad. But we lost my dad 6 months ago to stage 4 liver cancer. And I moved in, I dropped everything, I stopped nursing school, and I became his constant companion. And his death taught me how to live. And I think as Dave's children go through this journey and reach adulthood, that's when the impact is really going to hit them. Like, oh my gosh, this is how Dad was when he lost his vision. Like, they're going to really start identifying with his struggle, and they're going to, through his poetry, keep him alive and share his story and continue to, because it's going to become such a huge part of who they are.
I really appreciate it.
As an adult child, it is an absolute gift. So,
as I said to you, that means the world. And so I'll just ask you the question quickly. How did you kind of discover my poetry, and where did you find it?
Do you know I was thinking about that this morning. I'm so tired. You notice I didn't gussy myself up for y'all.
Hey, this is a very friendly environment here. There's no requirement. Whatever it is.
That's good. I'm on COVID time. I was trying to remember this morning what it had to have been a Facebook page, but first I thought it was Advance Your Stage or Rise Up World, and I'm not even sure where we met. I'm just glad we did. I started writing poetry when I was 12, and then I didn't write for many years, and because I had kids and a husband and responsibilities, and I've just gotten back into it again. It's my process for working out my emotions. I don't share it with my husband though, because you have to become very vulnerable, and kind of the admission price for that emotional growth, but it's intensely private. It's your soul, it's your spirit. And my husband's kind of a left brainer math guy, so if I know he can't fully appreciate it and embrace it, he'll, oh, that's a good job, honey, but that's my soul. I want to touch somebody's heart. I had to do that for my dad's memorial service. I wrote a poem about his amazing life and the travels him and my mom did, just to remind him how meaningful and purposeful his life was.
It's just such a powerful getting the message across, though, isn't it? And
it is. And this is like I told Dave, if you feel a breeze across your tailbone, close the window, because I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass. I just think extraordinary people need to be recognized, and if I can advance them in any way, let's our voice be louder than the fools on the picket line. Try living near DC. Y'all in Baltimore,
Ben is getting it. He's getting
Yeah, my husband has missed a couple of days of work because of protests. It's like, come on. Write your congressman. Do something productive.
But
so we went around that voice out.
I'll be back in DC as soon as the travel ban is lifted, and I'm sure Barry, we can kind of connect. I know. He's looking at foundation in a dad's name, with regards to for burns victims, and I said if bought that, then
I'm kind of gonna employ my 18-year-old millennial because I got like a $35 cricket phone from Best Buy. I'm not high tech. I'm learning by absolute necessity. But yeah, we definitely want to do that foundation and start supporting burn victims, whether it's groceries, rent. We all, my girlfriend had a $400,000 bill from Fairfax Inova after her insurance paid.
Wow.
When her daughter was born at 21 weeks. Now let's see, do I want to pay $400,000 or do I want to let my kid die? Well, which is another reason I went into healthcare, because I grew up watching my dad. All the hospital. He's a professional patient. The last 2 months of his life, he said, don't give up school for me. Go back to school. I said, I'm in school. You're going to teach me how to be a nurse. No instructor, no book can tell me what you can. You're still my father.
I applaud you for that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kristen, for joining us today. We really appreciate it. I have a couple people here waiting, so I'm going to send you off as an attendee, but we look forward to have you join us, and when you're ever come visit us.
Keep me informed on when you come to DC. Seriously, we can get you into the Courtyard or the Marriott Hilton Gardens, Pennsylvania Avenue. $50 a night.
Nice.
The guy and half his family live there. You'll be right beside the Trumps. Sorry.
Good to know, right?
Slim pickings.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kristen.
So let me bring Christina's been really patient. I think I need Christina, yes. Here we go. Coming right in. We are. Christina, I'm trying to unmute you. If you are there, maybe you'll come. Oh, there you are.
Hello?
How are
Can
you?
hear me?
We hear you.
I'm good.
Excellent. Where are you coming to us from?
Where am I at?
Yes.
I'm in Kentucky.
Nice.
Yep, I'm in Kentucky.
Nice.
I know Dave pretty well. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Christina. How are you?
I'm good.
It's great to have you on.
Well, thank you.
Would you like to, once again, for Barry and Ben's sake, kind of introduce yourself and say how
Okay.
we connected?
Okay. My name's Christina. I'm 42. I've had RP since I've been 8 years old. And I found you on Facebook. The Stand By Me RP is how I
Yep.
found Dave. And I got Facebook groups, and I've been sharing Dave's poems all over for since 2019.
Wow. And how was the poetry kind of helped, or how has that kind of resonated with you?
When I'm having a very, very bad day, it's a lot. It gets me where I can cope with it.
So we were kind of talking about that at the beginning of the call. I kind of want to expand on it a little bit. So, if you're having a tough day, as we all do, a bad eye day or what you want to call it, and you a piece of the poetry, how does it kind of make you feel? Does it make you feel like, less alone, or, what kind of things are you thinking?
There's actually somebody out there that's like me, and he understands, and just makes you think more positive about what you got, not as, hard to deal with this.
One thing I've always found, I've heard it mentioned a couple of times, and I'd be interested to see if it's the same with yourself. One of the things I like about the poetry is that when people read my words, sometimes it's like you're speaking to yourself. So even though they're my words, when you read the poem to yourself, you kind of internalize it. So sometimes, hearing that, when it gets to the positive twist on the poem, when it's talking about the bad days, because even the darkest poems that I write have this kind of positive twist. They always end on that positive note. That I find that when people like yourself are reading them, because they're reading them to themselves, and you're hearing your voice in your head, not mine, even though it's my words, that it is almost like you're speaking to yourself and reminding yourself that you've got the strength and you've been through these things before, and like everything, it will pass. Do you kind of relate to that?
Yeah, I do, because it's you're saying it, but stuff I've been thinking. So that's true. What you're saying.
It's funny. You what you just said, I think is a common thing. I've been thinking it, but Dave's been saying it, and I think, I think that's one of the incredible characteristics that Dave has, where he's able to really communicate a lot of these feelings. And sometimes it's difficult for them to communicate how they feel, and Dave has this incredible talent of being able not only to express it through his mouth, but to be able to write about it. And I think that's really one of the most incredible talents, to be able to share that. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, he's really awesome.
Thank you. While I've got you, Christina, and obviously Barry and Ben, there's a poem I'd like to read for you, if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
Not, of course.
Yeah, it's one I kind of looked out for tonight, just before the call, when I was thinking about people taking a stumble back, and I was talking about things like anxiety and depression, and about that message that we still try and get out there every year when we have these, mental health awareness weeks and things like that, about, it's okay not to be okay, and all these kind of things. And I wrote a poem about, depression still being a kind of dirty word, and it doesn't need to be, and we all should find strength to talk about it. So I'd like to see how you guys kind of relate to this. I've never actually read this one. I don't even think I've posted it, but this was written a while ago. So yeah, especially, yourself, Christine, and Ben, I'd like your thoughts. Okay. It's time that we talked openly about this thing, depression. These rhyming verbs that flow through me will act as my confession. I'm well aware that people care, but there's still just this wall. this barrier, this stigma, we feel too proud to call. For I'm a man, and I'm expected by society to be a strength protector to my family. Some feel a sign of weakness to admit that they feel down. I'm meant to be a king, but this crown can weigh me down. I hate the way my loved ones suffer for the sight I lose, the way I'm judged by strangers for my cane and eyes confuse. I wish that I could take a break and just for once go out, not feeling like a burden, no anxious chest, no doubt. These challenges that we cope with don't mean that we are weak. I've made my vow to stand up now, for others I will speak. If I can talk about the times I've drowned in darkest thoughts, then maybe someone else out there will understand they've my support. These tears that wet my cheek as I am writing this for you remind me that my heart's not numb and all that I can do. Don't be ashamed, your pride unclaimed, don't listen to the trolls. These demons inside all our heads won't claim our fragile souls. Our mental health, like wealth, can come and go in the blink of an eye. Remember, we can't win them all, but as long as we still try. This life can be amazing, and I'm raising up my head. Don't keep it in, let's all begin to understand instead.
Wow.
Amen. Powerful stuff.
Wow.
Here, brother.
Thank you. Anyone, who's listening, got anything to put on the Q&A about that, or any questions, or anything that, I take it you guys can relate?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Christina in. I'm sorry, I'm going to bring Cynthia in. Christina, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm sending you back as an attendee. And if you want to rejoin, please raise your hand, and we will do our best to bring you back in.
Dave, on that real quick, on set.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
About you saying things. Okay, interesting take on the poetry that you're writing specifically for this group. For someone, in my family to read it, that may or may not have vision loss, that's like a poem. Like, okay, but for somebody who has RP to read the poem, what you've done for me is you've taken thoughts that I may have started having, that I have to push the stop button on the thought because I don't know where that thought's going to end up, and I have a day I need to go about. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have a night's sleep I'm praying to get, and so I just went ahead and pushed stop on that thought. I'll get back to that thought. Oh wait, we're gonna process some things about vision loss. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say,
thanks for that, brother.
I want to say, and I tell this to my kids all the time, and I've mentioned it here. When you feel that invisible hand tapping on your shoulder and stopping you, don't let it stop you.
Well, that's what Dave's poetry is.
Correct.
It takes it. Where is this going to end up? Oh wait, it's not that you did the. It is what it is. Like there's someone out there that I know his process through that, at least to that page, because we got a timeline of 3 books so far, and it's kind of cool to know. So what does the poetry do for me? It kind of answers a couple questions that I haven't asked myself yet because I wasn't ready. And I don't know if there's a movie out there. It's one of the movies, Never Ending Story. And he's reading the book and he's like, okay, I'll put this down. I'll check it back tomorrow. It's like, I know there's other answers out there in poetry. And I know that you're out there interacting with people, and that shows up in your poetry too. So for me personally, it's this cool interactive experience. So that's my answer to your question on what the poetry is to me.
It's funny actually, because when we look at, say for example, last week's call, when we had, you'll remember having Derek on the call from Rhode Island, who had not seen since, he'd just been diagnosed. For someone like him, or someone that's just at the beginning of the journey, or someone in that denial phase, to kind of read through some of these poems and look at stages way beyond, way in the future from where they're at, and get a glimpse into how they might feel going through that by listening to my words and seeing, the positive twist on it. I think it's a great way of someone preparing themselves and learning about future stages and realizing that they're actually not as scary as they probably are imagining, because we all think that it's going to be. I mean, for example, you speak to people who have lost all their sight, and for someone that's clinging on to whatever degrees of vision, losing that last bit of sight, is the scariest of things. But then those people that have been through it are just like, well, actually, it wasn't that bad, and I adjusted, and and I don't think as humans, forget low vision or not, we don't know what we're capable of surviving and getting through until we're actually faced with it.
Yeah. So keep on pushing. Keep on pushing. We have Cynthia here. How are you, Cynthia?
Cynthia,
Fine, thank you. Hi, Barry. Hi, Ben. Hi, Dave.
Good to see you.
How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Just really, just an update on my son. He had a appointment with the ophthalmist on Monday, with his RP, and he was told that he had now got cataracts on both eyes, which is another trait of RP, as we all know. She was very upset, very, I've mentioned him before, and I hate to put downers on this webinar, because everybody's so positive, including myself, and he is the complete opposite and will not reach out for any help whatsoever.
We've just spoke about that at the beginning of the call, though, Cynthia.
Yeah.
We spoke about it, and we all go through that stage.
But I mean, it's been so many years, Dave, and it's like, he isn't on Facebook, but I sent him a link through the RP page about a young guy that went to and was registered severely impaired, sight impaired. He won't even go through that. I don't want to know. Why do I want to know that I'm going to go blind? Well, you may not. Well, I am. I don't want to talk to people.
I want to tell you, there's an individual who's not on the call here today. I don't think this individual has participated in these calls, but someone here in the U.S. who is actually going through a very similar thing with their son. I think similar age, and really it's almost identical as far as what you're saying. So, it's apparent, this is normal. What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, his partner doesn't want to talk about it with him. All she wants him to do is get a job, which, he was released from his job because of his sight. She's being very negative about it and saying, we've got 4 children. Yeah, they've got 4 beautiful children. What are you going to do to help support them? He supports them as much as he can. All I want to do is go out and get a job, Mum. What job can I do? We can sat like this. In fact, Dave, it got so bad on Tuesday. He was very, very down, and I was really worried about his mental health. I'd started to message you to see if you would call him, because I didn't know who or what else to reach out for.
Yeah.
And then he phoned me and said, he sort of boxed himself up a little bit. And I thought, even if I do ask you to call him or message him, I don't know if it would do any good. And it's just been a really, really, really bad week with him this week.
Yeah. Really sorry to hear that. I mean, I'm always there.
I know you are, Dave. Thank you.
I'm always there. You can reach out anytime. Also, I'd suggest that I know here in fact, actually, yeah, your area is covered as well. Henshaws, who I do a lot of work for, have some great advice and support lines for people who want to ask questions, and we've spoke about this. In that first step is the hardest.
Yeah,
and
I know.
That's just the thing he's got to try and
life. That first step.
Yeah, and you know, being a parent as I am, I can't begin to imagine how hard it must be from your side of knowing this fight, and wanting you know, him to take that step, but knowing also at the same time that you can only push so much from your side.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, it's you're not going to be the one to get this done.
I just want him to reach out to somebody who is in the same position, but he just won't do it.
I know, but like, I don't think you're the one that's going to get him to take that step. He's either going to take it himself or it's going to be someone else. What you can do is what you've rightly been trying to do, is trying to put someone in front of him that he could maybe speak to about it. But speaking to you, like, different than speaking to me about it, or speaking to somebody else. So that you know, that's the thing. So yeah, you know, give him a little gentle nudge in my direction, and I'll you know, do what I can.
Thanks, Dave. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry to be a downer on the.
This is a massive part of everything that we've been talking about tonight, and that the subjects that we cover on a week-to-week basis. These feelings and these struggles and the challenges that we face are all very, very real. So, you know, I thank you for coming on and sharing and you know, and keeping
thank you for everything.
We're always here. Okay.
And by the way, Cynthia, I just want to say also, we happen to have someone here in our studio who's observing, who's learning more and more as far as what goes on with sight loss. And just by, I think, for, you know, this person who's here, I'm not going to mention his name yet, who's here in the studio and listening and watching, this is, I think, a very crucial moment for him as well. So
thank you.
I just want to thank you for sharing that. So
thank you very much for having me on. Thanks, Barry.
No problem.
And we're always here for you.
Always thinking of.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's you know, there's never a dull moment, and
there's always someone at the beginning of that journey, and this is why it's vital and important that we communicate more in whatever form we talk about it. People like myself and Ben stand up for others, and really try and offer support in the best way that we can, through my poetry, through film, through, you know, whatever unique way we can get the message out there and support.
And I think this particular live stream tonight, this afternoon, whatever time zone you're in, I think it has just reinforced part of a project that Ben and I are working on that will really, you know, take things to a whole nother level, because it's opened up, no pun intended, it's opened up my eyes where I didn't think of something where maybe someone's not getting the information, you know, from the beginning. And if they were presented with, I don't want to use the word options, but more of direction from the start, then maybe they wouldn't be, you know, dealing with some of these struggles. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Definitely. And I want to highlight that Dave Steele is going to hopefully be right in the smack center of this project.
Right in between us, right here.
Because Dave is the person that introduced me to Barry.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure
that is correct. That is correct. Yeah. No, and again, you just reinforced something that we've been talking about and we're working on and planning. And again, this and Cynthia, you know, your feedback today, what you've shared with us today, is just really elevated onto another level, and for me. So thank you.
Yes. Sometimes we can talk, and you know, we can forget how real it is for people. And you know, I always say that, you know, these words that I write in this poem, as Kristen said right at the beginning, it's my heart and soul on the page. I've been and bled, you know, these words and been through everything. And I know we're kind of winding things up shortly, and I want to give an opportunity for anyone else out there to speak.
Yep. Please don't be shy. We don't fight, as you see. We don't fight.
share something with you that popped up tonight as well. And once again, spooky timing wise. When I was in America last in January, when I came out for the conference, and me and Ben met for the first time face to face after many years of talking. When I flew out, I flew from Manchester to Philly, and then Philadelphia to LaGuardia. And on the flight from Philadelphia to LaGuardia, which was about half an hour, 40 minutes,
Maybe,
something,
not even.
maybe, yeah. I wrote a poem in the time we were up in the air, which was about 20 minutes or something like that. And it's one of these poems that immediately I saw as a song. And Ben, I think this is something that we could maybe do together in the future. And I want to read this to you now because the message in it is very, very spooky. And you'll hear, as I read the poem, Ben, you being the very musical person that you are, how it is done in that song format, and it is a song in itself. And it goes like this. But then I'd like to see if there's anyone else out there that wants to say anything. So I want to leave you with this. I'm one step from anxiety and another from my best. For I'm prepared, no longer scared of life's unanswered tests. This blindness that consumes my eyes cannot consume my heart. Believing all that I've achieved is only just the start. Yet I'm one step from anxiety, another from my best. One day I'm winning back my pride, next day it's heading west. Though I might fall, know through it all my heart remains the same, and bad days will just disappear as quick as once they came. Though I'm one step from anxiety, more often now my best. I'm comfy in this haze that drowns yet seldom gets me stressed. I'm focused on the pretty things, the beauty in each day. Soon one step from anxiety will surely fade away.
One step away from anxiety. But it can go in either direction. You can have the power to change that. It's Alice. I'm going to bring Allison in here for a moment. Anything you want to say while I bring Allison in?
Being right there between, like, knowing that it's like you got the best on one side, and it's the most interesting thing to know that you're walking towards something that with all the best intention, everything's looking great, and you wonder when you get there what it's going to look like. Pun intended.
Yeah.
Allison, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
Good. I just want to say that I like this topic. I think it's really important because people stuff their emotions and they're afraid to talk about it. And, we do have those bad days and good days. And it was good that I was on this call today because yesterday was not a great day. So, it's true. You do have, you go through all different types of emotions. And I do strongly believe that in someone's first journey, if they're given some tools or directed to a community that has an online support, this is what people need. It's so true to be connected with other individuals who are going through or have been through that journey. It's very important. That's all I wanted to say. So you guys keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Allison. I just want to share on that. You're really, I don't know, again, we Dave and I, and even Ben, we have these moments where, we don't plan the topics and it's just so in line. It's scary because this is what we were talking about for a good portion of the afternoon today. And I can't even.
Scary cool.
Scary cool. Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The universe lines up, right?
It does. It does. It really does. So.
Alison, I've spoke about this so many times with Barry and stuff, how, like, before I started to lose my sight, I was in this kind of cycle of things going wrong all the time and felt like I was banging my head against a brick wall, almost felt like I was cursed in everything that I did because nothing seemed to go right. And literally, from the moment I started writing this poetry and got on this journey of trying to help other people through this,
Right.
we've had moments where, everything is just, it's almost like I found this corridor and everything as far as opportunities and being, you know, in the right place at the right time for people. It just seems to align, and it's so strange. And Barry will, you know, testify to this. It's very, very spooky how these things kind of happen. But I just feel as if, you know, what we're doing is kind of important, and I just think it's using the poetry in this kind of way, and using different forms, you know, the arts, and just different ways to get a message across, and reach more people, and also break down some of these misconceptions for people who aren't affected by low vision or a disability. Doing it in this way is a kind of unique way to do it, and change things.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's why I created my foundation, the Go See Foundation, to connect others in our community or around this area, and, you know, to just provide support anyway, because it wasn't there for me going through that journey, and
Yep.
just trying to give back and help others. But it's
Yeah,
important.
Yeah,
right?
that's absolutely that. You know, I talk about this a lot. You know, all these people that kind of come on this call, and all these amazing individuals like yourself, like Ben, like Barry, who we all kind of work with. We all do different things, but the message is the same. And it's great to see.
Yeah. This has been, I have to tell you, for myself, not that I needed any additional motivation as far as for the work that we're doing here, but I do feel that this particular live stream has just made a tremendous impact on myself. I know for Jonathan, who's here in the room here as well, it's going to go even on a higher level now as far as what we're doing. So I know we're talking in this like vague term. I'm sorry, we gotta wait till August 4th. But we promise you, August 4th, we're sharing all the details. And what we're talking about today is going to be one of those 3 pillars and it's going to be very well addressed.
Absolutely.
Well, if there's anything that here on the West Coast where I'm at that we can contribute, the Go See Foundation, how we can get connected or help or use our platform to get the message out. Ben, Barry, and, you know, Dave, I'm here. So just let me know.
Thank you, Allison. That means
that
means a lot to us, and we're going to need, you know, any extra lift. We'll take it. So we come out with a big message. So thank you.
Well, as I just said, the first thing you can do is get the travel ban lifted so I can get myself back over there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I was talking to some people about some hot air balloons. I think we're just going to hot air balloon across the pond. We'll come on back. We'll have you here for lunch. There you go.
It may take some time, but yeah, we'll smuggle me in. That'll do.
Yeah. So
all right, you guys.
Thank you so much, Allison.
Thank you, Allison.
You.
Thank you.
You as well. Stay strong. So guys, I can't believe it's been another week. Another hour has gone by here, and we're making progress, and we're all, you know, putting our best foot forward, and there's a lot of momentum, and I'm always excited, but again, can I say I'm getting more and more excited?
He's getting even more and more excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be a few more burning midnight oil here.
I know we just got some on the Q&A come up. Is it last chance now, last call for anyone wanting to kind of say anything, or?
Yeah, please let us know before Dave closes it out. And Cynthia, you're very welcome. It's our greatest pleasure. Cynthia was just saying, thank you so much for all the support. And you know what, this is what this is all about, this community and creating this network of you know, connecting together through Dave's beautiful poetry and being able to, you know, share Dave's expressions where a lot of people can't just express themselves the way you can. So it's a tremendous gift that you have, Dave. We recognize that and we appreciate that.
So I've got one last one then to leave us on then. Okay, so I'll finish off with this as we're kind of there now, and I hope this one kind of resonates as well and fits into what we're talking about. Just happens to be there. But here we go. I used to think my eyes meant to the world. Sorry, start again. I used to think my eyes meant to the world I was no use. No choice to stay at home and shut the door, become recluse. Felt anxious at the thought of walking through a busy place. The simple things I used to do became too much to face. My independence robbed and my pride slipped through my hands. My dreams went up in smoke and broke the things that I had planned. Felt guilty for the pressure and a burden to my wife. How could I take care of her and give her a happy life? But all of this has changed now. I'm a million miles from here. My confidence is high now and my purpose crystal clear. I'm grateful for the lessons that my blindness gave to me. The vision in my mind is much more beautiful to see. But I have not forgotten those dark days from yesterday. The anxious chest and need for rest won't ever go away. But now the difference is I won't let blindness hold me back. No matter how much I stumble, I'll be soon right back on track.
Well, I know you are on track, and that is beautiful. Always very powerful. I want to, any last comments from you?
Looking forward to next Wednesday, Dave, and I hope to see you multiple times before then.
Absolutely.
Got the water going, brother.
My water is here. I just haven't got to it yet. But I just want to again thank Dave. Thanks everyone for participating this afternoon, this evening. And I just wanted, before we close out, I wanted to give a special shout out to Bailey. I see you out there. I see you're not into the construction, following you on Facebook. Just a quick hello to Dustin out there and to everyone else. Thank you again for joining us this afternoon, this evening. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Everyone stay safe, and we're saying so long from Timonium. And Dave, be well, and see you next week.
See you in 2 minutes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Over and out.